Hello, my name is Ali Amir Shahi, aka Alphy Psyche from Instinct Learning. And in this series, we are going to talk about from very fundamental knowledge of music into very complex ideas that we can use in our music. This series is very useful to several levels of viewers. Prerequisite for its study are nothing more than basic musical knowledge such as notes, scales, chords, and as well as basic computer skills such as copying and pasting and writing text that we will go on through all of that one by one. First, we're going to the basic music knowledge and we go further on to the crazier stuffs. If you are a self-learner or if you are under the guidance of a teacher, this series will be useful for you. We start with the theoretical background and then we go to the practical computer techniques. Always first learn theoretical background and then go to the practical computer techniques. The theoretical parts are an organic framework for learning the theory that is needed to invent sound on the computer and write some signal processing programs. For each lesson, I will give you some examples in Ableton Live, VCV Rack or Max MSP that you can download and practice on it. In this way, you always have a right patch to work with. The practical part of this series are in three software: Ableton Live, VCV Rack, and Max MSP. Max MSP is an environmental for music production, signal processing, and visual and multimedia that we use for our practical parts. We use our knowledge and use them in the practical parts in Ableton Live and VCV Rack. In some episode, you will need some objects that you should add to your library. In each episode, I will give you the objects that you will need to download. Gradually in time, your knowledge becomes greater and greater and you will analyze more complex techniques and use them in your music. One of the greatest achievements of humans are computers, and they enable composer and musicians to manipulate sounds and let the musician possible to model sounds in every way possible. This is the result of going from analog world to the digital world. In the matter of intensity in analog world, the intensity from pianissimo to fortissimo become a number between 1 to 127 in the digital world. First, we record our sound and change sound into string of data. Once the sound has been converted into a sequence of numbers, those numbers can be used or manipulated by the computers. Sound synthesis is about generating sound in electronic ways. Lots of sounds have some parameters and you can make your own scenarios by manipulating these parameters. Signal processing is about modification of the sound. Whatever the sound is pre-recorded or is generated by the sound synthesis. When we change our instruments and add some notes, the program will execute the instrument by reading the stream of digital MIDI data and to make the instrument sound in the particular notes by generating the wave shape of the instruments. Then your audio interface converts the digital data into an analog voltage and allows us to hear the sound. Let's go to our first theoretical part and talk about frequency, amplitude, and wave shapes. The very basic parameter of sounds are about frequency, is about how we distinguish a lower pitch from a higher pitch. Amplitude is about how we distinguish high volume from low volume. And the waveform is about how we distinguish different timbres. Let's go deeper into each of these characters. When the sound generated, the molecules in the air move in 4 different states. First, from 0 to the maximum positive amount or positive phase. Second, they come back to the 0. Third, they move into the maximum negative amount or negative phase. And then, in the 4th phase, they will come back to 0 again. When the cycle is completed, we call it one oscillation or one cycle. As I told you already, frequency is a character that determines the pitch of the sound or how we distinguish a lower pitch from a higher pitch. Frequencies are periodic, and frequencies between 20 Hz up to about 20 kHz is audible to human ears. Human ear.
Oh, that hurts.
Hertz is the unit of frequency and is the number of cycles that we are completed per unit of time, or in the simple way, number of oscillations per second. If we change the length of each cycles, we can have a different frequency oscillation in different amount of time per second. Amplitude is information about variance in the pressure or how we distinguish high volume from the low volume. The threshold of pain for ears is about 130 decibels. Above this level you will be permanently deaf and you couldn't hear anything. We call the maximum amount of amplitude the peak. Time of the sampling depends on the sampling rate. Sounds amplitude measured and digitalized between -1 and 1 with non-continuous form. If you go above 1, your sound will be clipped and lose some data that cause changing in the timbre of the sound. In the computer, we can use decibel instead of amplitude, and the symbol decibel indicate that the level must be measured in decibel. The maximum peak in amplitude is 1, but the maximum peak in decibel is 0, and there is a relationship chart between decibel and amplitude. For every time the amplitude becomes half, the decibel will be decreased by -6 decibel. Oscillators are electroacoustic devices that can generate signal with specific waveforms. The sine is the only wave shape that contains signal frequency. The other wave shapes are composed of multiple sine frequencies and can be decomposed into series of sines. Here are 4 different wave shapes with 4 distinct timbre. Sine waves. Second, rectangle or square waves. Third, sawtooth. And fourth, triangle. When you look at the square waves, you will see it spent half of the cycle in positive phase and half in the negative phase. The relationship between negative and positive phases is called duty cycle, and it's a number between 0 and 1. That's it for this video. Feel free to ask any question about our subject. I will answer each of them in the comment section. And we're going on and on in our next videos. See you in the next one.